Hello friend, Kris here. Welcome to the all-inclusive lifestyle show where we help you cultivate energy, restore balance, and live what I call the all-inclusive lifestyle. Tonight's question, why does your weight fluctuate? Why does your weight fluctuate radically? I'm going to tell you a radical story about my weight fluctuating. This was years ago when I was a competitive bodybuilder, and I'll never forget it. I was competing in the Ontario Final Championships, which I won. And as a sort of celebration, which was a tradition for us bodybuilders, we always used to go to Pizza Hut. Back then it was the deep dish pizza, I don't know if you remember that. But that's all we wanted to eat. That was everything we needed. It had lots of sodium, it had lots of carbohydrates and lots of fat. And those are three things that we didn't have much of, probably 3 to 4 months in preparation for this show. So it really hit the spot, and I must have eaten 2 mediums myself that night in this big celebration. So the next morning I woke up and I was sore. It's like I got hit by a truck. Now, competing in bodybuilding is really tough. It looks like we're just showing off up there, but quite frankly, it's one of the more difficult things you can really do physically, just flexing all of your muscles. So I figured that's what it was. It turned out to be something else though, along with that. And the other thing was that I went to wash my face and I didn't recognize my own face. My head looked like a pumpkin. It had just swollen. And the reason why is because I had gained 10 pounds overnight. 10 pounds. I've never had that happen before, and that's a radical fluctuation in my weight. And looking back and after all the research that I've done on what controls weight and how do we lose weight and how we maintain weight, I really know today what exactly happened, precisely happened that fateful night, the morning of gaining 10 pounds, the most drastic fluctuation I've ever had. And it really comes down to 3 facts, which are, first, water has weight. Of course it does, right? We understand that. But the minute that it goes into your body, or the minute that it's stored in your body, you're gonna see that on the scale. It's not air, it's not invisible, it's real. It has real weight to it. And the second thing is that we are water weight. We know that we're about 60%. All the way up to some cases 70% water. So we're water bags. That's what we really are. And knowing that water is very volatile in us, okay? Knowing that really water is what fluctuates in us. It comes in and it goes out. And that is the cycle of water. So knowing that, of course, water is very volatile and it's going to change throughout the day. And it's going to change by circumstances as well. Like, for example, if you've ever won a bodybuilding show and you went out and celebrated at Pizza Hut and had 2 medium, I think it was a meat lovers special, and woke up in the morning 10 pounds heavier. But maybe your story is not as radical as that. And as a coach, a lifestyle coach, I have this 911 kind of call that comes in quite often. And this is where clients are really concerned about their weight fluctuating. And I'll give you an example. I remember I had one client and she was doing very well. I think she was losing 1 pound per week. And as a weight loss and lifestyle coach, and even doctors and dietitians, 1 to 2 pounds is what we typically recommend if you count on keeping it off in the long term. Of course, you can lose a lot more, and we'll talk about that as well and how that will show up in the scale. But this particular client, she was doing very well. She was losing 1 pound per week, and then all of a sudden she started gaining weight 2 weeks in a row, 1 to 2 pounds. But she hit the panic button and she dialed 911 and she called me and told me, hey, listen, Kris, I think I need to do something about this. Something radically needs to happen because my weight needs to change. So this was her radical idea. She was going to go on the cabbage soup diet, okay, just to shock her system. And then she was going to do the paleo diet on sort of the long term thereafter. So I spent a good hour on the phone with her, just trying to talk her down, okay, from jumping basically into that oblivion of, doing all these radical things to try to change her weight, not knowing it's going to be that traditional yo-yo effect, right? Where, we're going to throw down that yo-yo, but it's going to fly right back up into our face, in the sense that we're going to lose some weight, but we're also going to gain some weight and then some, because of the rebound. And really, quite frankly, we just can't beat body biology that way. So after talking her down, I got her to get back on the program and stick to the plan, and it really tried to have her understand, why she had gained those 1 to 2 pounds over those couple of weeks, and she was in that plateau state that maybe you've been in before. A lot of times clients will start off with any type of weight loss program, and they lose a lot of weight quite quickly initially, and then they get into a plateau, and that's hard to handle. It really is. That's a letdown, because if you've ever lost weight before, you know how motivating it is. It's you get charged up. You want to get into the gym. You want to go for your walks. You want to prepare your meals. You want to take care of yourself. And then all of a sudden, you're doing all of those same things, and something very different is happening. The scale's going this way instead of that way. So as a lifestyle coach, I totally get it. I understand. And I want you to understand, why is your weight fluctuating so much? Now, we know that water is the common element. It's the element in us. And thank goodness for that, because we need that stuff. How long would we last without that stuff? Maybe a week. So it's really, really important. And just on a side note, if you've ever found yourself dehydrated and having symptoms of, unusual tiredness, lethargicness, and also headaches, and these really common dehydration type symptoms. Brain fog is another one, for example. You might not be getting enough water. Typically men should be taking in about 3 liters. Now that's my target each and every day. And I've got my bottles lined up in the morning. I've got 3 liters ready to go. And women should be 2.2, a little less. Now in ounces, for my American friends, that would be, for men, it would be 100 ounces. And for women, it would be 75 ounces. So that's something for you to think about. If you don't think you're getting 175 ounces, men and women respectively, then it's something you really need to focus on. And that in itself will help your weight balance, and you won't have any of that radical fluctuation. But I think the best way to explain this, as far as how much water dictates what we weigh minute per minute, I'm gonna do a little trick here. It's not much of a magic trick. There's no magic cameras or anything, but I'm going to show you how I can gain more than 1 pound in less than 1 minute. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to weigh myself. I have a little scale here. I'll show you. And no trickery involved. This is just a regular Fitbit scale. One that, by the way, I would recommend. No affiliation with Fitbit, but digital scales are always the better scales to choose versus the old school bathroom scales, right? That, just not that accurate. And what I'm gonna do here is weigh myself really quickly, write down the weight for you. So let me step on the scale. Okay, so I was 206.3. Let me just show you that here. All right, so there it is. 206.3. Now, let me just write that down quickly so we can remember that number. So that is 206.3. All right. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I don't know if you've ever seen anyone chug a lug, but here goes 500 milliliters of non-magic water down the hatch, and then I'm going to weigh myself again, and we're going to see if there's any fluctuation in my weight. Here it goes. For the people listening to the podcast, I'm sure that was quite noisy. I'm a noisy drinker, but hey, that was 500 mils of water in probably less than a minute. So, okay, let's get back on the scale here. Let's see what happened. Okay. The moment of truth here, folks. Here we go. 208 even. 208. So just to reflect here again, I was 206 about 60 seconds ago. And now I'm at 208. So typically in a 500 ml bottle of water, water weight is over 1 pound. And the reason why I'm showing you this is to illustrate just how much your weight can fluctuate with as little as a 500 milliliter of water. So 5 top takeaways that I want to leave you with here tonight so you can understand why your weight fluctuates, and also so that you can have a deeper understanding that you won't have to get into that panic state and do things that really aren't great for your health and aren't really good for you in the long term, okay? Not just with your health, but also with managing your weight, whether you just want to manage it and keep it the same, or maybe you want to lose some weight like most of us. The first thing is weighing yourself same time, okay? Same place, same scale, same clothes, and only doing it once a week. This is something that I didn't do initially. I became obsessed about my weight. I remember it was probably the second or third bodybuilding show that I did, and I was weighing myself 3 times a day. I was weighing myself on my home scale, fresh out of the bed, okay, in basically nothing, and trying to get that dry weight. And then what I would do is I'd weigh myself at work, okay? I was working in a shipping place, so I had a big shipping scale. I weighed myself on that scale. Then I would weigh myself again later that day at the gym on a third and different scale. So I went completely berserk. I could not decipher what the scale and that feedback was giving to me. And that was very, very important because I wanted to know what weight class I would be in, and I wanted to know how well I would do at the show and how I would compare to my competitors. And my weight was really determining that, or so I thought. So this is what I did. In order to take another radical approach in the opposite direction, the next bodybuilding show I did not weigh myself, not even once, before that show, which was very difficult. I walked into the show that day for my weigh-in and I didn't know what weight class I was going to be in. I had no idea what was going on. I really let the mirror be my scale. And that was so challenging to let go of that control, but I actually had more control by letting go of the scale, and I won that show. And that just proved to me that there are other ways that we can measure our success when it comes to our weight if we're trying to lose weight or even to maintain weight, for example. So weigh yourself once a week, okay? Not every day, definitely not 3 times a day like crazy me, and make sure that it's on the same scale, a digital scale preferred, and make sure that you have the same clothes on and all those other variables that we've been talking about that will have your weight fluctuate. You want to control those variables and then get some time in. And just like that chart I showed you, you'll be able to chart it out and you'll be able to relax when your weight goes up 1 pound or 2 pounds, knowing that there'll be a correction later. So that's exactly what I want to speak about now, the correction curve. It was a couple of weeks ago, I had a client that came in, and this person had a plateau for about 3 weeks, just nothing going on in the scale, okay? No dips and no rises, just flatlined. Then all of a sudden, took a 4-pound dive, bomb. Now, of course, that put a big smile on his face, but it put a somber face for myself because I know that there's going to be a correction curve afterwards. And sure enough, there was. He went up 2 pounds the next week when I weighed him in the following week. So that's what I mean by the correction curve, that the body will naturally correct itself, okay, if there's any great fluctuations. It's the body's job. It's called body biology, and we all got that internal thermostat in us that really controls everything. It controls our appetite, it controls our hormones, and if we're healthy and we're taking care of ourselves and we're not doing all these crazy things and crazy diets and whatnot, then it'll actually manage our weight too for us in a really, really great way. The third thing is take a selfie. How many clients that I have worked with came to me initially because they saw themselves in a photograph that they really didn't want to take, but maybe were forced to take at some sort of family function. They saw themselves and bingo, the light went on and they made the call, and I had the privilege of working with them, but the catalyst was that picture. A picture says 1,000 words. And sometimes we get to see ourselves in a different perspective, in a third sort of perspective where we're able to get subjective and say, wow, I didn't look like that 5 years ago. I didn't look like that last year. And wow, I got to start taking care of myself. And you know what? I'm going to take some action. I'm going to do something about this. And it was all because they saw the picture of themselves. So take a picture of yourself. I know it's not easy to do. It's uncomfortable. At least you can put it in the archives. You don't need to put it out there on social media. Maybe put it on your fridge. That's a good place for it. But I'm telling you, that's what really gives us that kick in the butt that we really need. And if it's the scale that's going to give you the kick in the butt, that's another way of doing it. But the picture and also our clothes is another great way of motivating ourselves and also showing ourselves that, hey, listen, I've neglected myself for a little too long here and I need to do something for myself. And getting yourself into the fitting room, this is something that I do with all the one-on-one clients that I coach. And it's kind of cool, kind of uncomfortable for them, but they think it's cool after the fact. They get into the clothes that they want to fit in, okay, when they are finished working with me, when they're finished the program, the lifestyle program that I coach. And it's uncomfortable. There's a lot of spillover and things not fitting in over here and over there, but that's okay because I have them try these clothes on every month, periodically. And sure enough, these clothes are getting easier to put on. They're feeling more and more comfortable with them. Sometimes these are the clothes that they used to have. And they put them at the back of the closet, or they put them in the box in the back of the closet. I tell them, listen, pick out your favorite outfit and put it on, even if it doesn't fit. That's the whole point. Because sometimes there's no better measurement, okay, than your clothes. As long as they haven't been in the dryer for too long, they're really consistent and they give us a real full body wrap type of measurement that a scale just can't give us. So they're a lot more accurate and not as volatile as a scale would be. So I highly suggest that you get those old clothes, or even better, go out and buy a new outfit that you want to fit into and get that process started of trying it on periodically, and you will see that you'll be able to fit into these clothes. And there's no better feeling, isn't there, when you fit into a pair of pants, for example, that didn't fit before and now they do, and there's nothing spilling over. It's just the best feeling. It really is. So the fifth takeaway here is what I call the 5-pound flex. Now, this is more so for people that have lost the weight and are keeping the weight off. And that's where I am right now. And if you know my story, I lost about 50 pounds. And I had a health problem, I had an addiction problem, I had a lot of emotional problems, anxiety and depression. So I had a lot of problems. And those problems, unfortunately, I've been able to get a lifestyle that has allowed me to basically have an antidote for all of those things. But I still got to keep my eye on me and my lifestyle, my behavior, and the way that I take care of myself. And that's where the 5-pound flex comes in, where if I am going up more than 5 pounds over my limit, okay, let's just say that my limit is 205 to 210 pounds. If I go over 210 pounds, that is a full stop. That's a big red stop sign. By the time I'm up to, let's say, 213, that's an amber light. It's time for me to slow down. It's time for me to wake up and starting getting back into the habits that had me down at a lower weight before. So I allow myself that 5-pound flex because I know my life's not perfect. My life circumstances are going to change from time to time. I'm going to have periods of stress where a lot of my habits are going to fall to the wayside. But weighing myself periodically every week, all right, and making sure that I don't go beyond this 5-pound swing or 5-pound flex, as I call it, is so important. Because have you ever had this situation where you set a goal weight for yourself and then slowly you creep up over that, and before you know it, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15, you're right back to where you started. And how did it happen? It happened like that, just overnight it seemed. And it takes so much work for us to take off, but it comes back on in such drastic measures and so quickly. And it's a shame that way, but that's just the way our body biology is. So we really got to keep our eye on ourselves by using the 5-pound flex. So I want to leave you here tonight with this. I want you to remember that your weight, okay, is equal to your wellness. And what I mean by that is that we know that when we're taking care of ourselves, that our weight, okay, will take care of itself as well. And we are always going to be more well at a certain weight. And I don't know, my friend, what that weight is for you, but I think if you put some thought into it tonight and thought about, what weight you feel your best, all around, mind, body, spirit, okay? Your self-esteem and your confidence and your health, okay? Including your mental health as well. There's that sweet spot. I know I have my sweet spot too. And I know that that's where, my weight and my wellness are balanced. They're even. And that's where I want you to be